Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, inshallah, we are solving Biology 0610, Paper 2, Variant 1, May, June 2025. The timing is 45 minutes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Question 1 says, which characteristic of living things require carbon dioxide to diffuse into a leaf? So which process of these needs carbon dioxide to go into the reactant process? Okay, so always remember in this case Mrs. Bread. Okay, so why does the leaf need carbon dioxide? This only happens during the process of photosynthesis. So the question requires C. Because excretion is getting out, movement is from one place to another, respiration is breaking down of nutrients to release energy. Number 2. Which set of features is a characteristic only for birds? Birds don't have hair. Birds, they don't give soft shells of egg. No, they only give hard shell eggs and feathers. Number 3. Which features are found in both plant and animal cell? So cell wall, cycloroplast are wrong. So the answer is D, cell membrane and nuclei. Number 4. Student is made the following statement about the movement of ions by active transport. So whenever I see active from low to high, and it needs energy. These are the two key processes. So number 1, it is the net movement of particles from a low concentration to high concentration. So number 1 is correct. So all the answers with 1 I have to consider. So C and D are wrong. Number 2, it is the net movement of particles from high concentration to a low concentration. So 2 we said wrong, 4 we said wrong. Let's look at 4. It can only take place in living cells. Yes. It requires the use of energy from respiration. Yes, so the answer is A. Number 5, a DNA molecule contains pairs of bases. Which is correct combination of pair of bases? So A, T, G, C. Always consider it like this. So number 5 is D, T and A. Number 6, what is the test for protein? Protein is always burette. So A and D are wrong, so it's B or C. Do we require heat? No, heat only in Benedict. So the answer is C. Next, the graph shows how enzyme activity is affected by temperature. So this is the optimum temperature. Here the enzyme is inactive or low activity. Here the enzyme is denaturated. Here enzyme activity is decreasing. Which is enzyme activity lower at 55? Why is the enzyme activity lower 55 Celsius than it's 40 Celsius? Why? Because the enzymes are denaturated. And the second question is the second answer, substrate is less likely to fit into the active site. Why? Because the enzyme is denaturated. So when the enzymes denaturate the active site, what happens to it? Deformation. Number 3, 8. Which description of adaptation for photosynthesis are correct for spongy mesophyll tissue? Number 1, there are air spaces for efficient gas exchange, long rectangular cells to absorb light. So here he's talking about balanced cells. Okay, yes, there are air spaces. So A and B are my correct answers. C and D are my wrong answers. So it's A or B. Long rectangular cells to absorb light. No, because he's talking about the sponge mesophyll cell. So the answer is B. Next. The table shows the recommended daily allowance RDA of some nutrients for young children. The table shows the mass of these nutrients eaten by a child in one day. So the mass eaten by the child in one day. So this is the required 50 vitamin C milligrams, but he eats 54. Here vitamin D, but he eats 5. Here the iron 11, but he eats also 11. The calcium 260, but he eats 150. So which condition will be at risk of developing if they consume the diet for a long period of time? So what is he lacking in this diet? 2 things, which are calcium and vitamin D. So remember, anemia not having enough red blood cells, it's only related to iron, ricket and scurvy. Ricket for vitamin D and scurvy for vitamin C. So he is lacking what? Vitamin D. So what's your answer? D only, ricket only. Okay. Next, because he is lacking vitamin D, as we said. Which term is used for uptake and use of nutrients by the cell? Very, very easy. Remember the processes which is in the digestive system in the beginning of the chapter. The answer is B, assimilation. What is the function of trypsin in digestion? I have to know three things about each enzyme: place, pH, reactants, and its product. On which food molecule does it work, and the released part. So trypsin, it catalyzes the breakdown of maltose in the mouth, catalyzes the breakdown of maltose in the small intestine, catalyzes the breakdown of protein in the small intestine, catalyzes the breakdown of protein in the stomach. So the answer is C. Breaks down protein, okay, into amino acids, and the place occurs in small intestine. pH is needed is alkaline, so the answer is C. 12. This is a villus, very, very important to know this part. So A is epithelial cells, D is blood capillaries, and C is blood lymph. It is the lymph. So, which is the lactile? Which is shows the lactile? Very easy, it's C. 13. Which graph shows the effect of humidity in the air on the rate of transpiration in a plant? Always remember this. Humidity, which is inversely proportional with transpiration. So the curve must be inversely proportional, showing this. So it's B. 14. In some countries, spring is the time of the year when daffodil plants have green leaves and produce flower. So it's a flowering plant. Which part of plant acts as source and sinks in the spring? So it's a spring, means that there is sun, which means that there is photosynthesis, which means that the leaf is a source. So what's your answer? Flower is the sink, leaf is a source, or what are we going to say? So we said leaf is a source, right? So my answer could be between B and C, because the leaf cannot be a sink. So if a leaf is a source, so the flower is always what? Excellent, it's a sink. So 14C. 15. In a fish, what is the sequence of structure the blood passes through after it leaves the heart? So heart, then gills, body, from body to heart. So what is the sequence? Excellent. Here replaced the word body with the word muscle. It works. 16. The diagram shows what happens in the body during active immunity. The pathogen enter the body. What W are detected. What are W? We will see now. Lymphocyte become active. X destroys the pathogen directly. Marking of pathogen occurs so that they can be destroyed by Y also. They are produced living long-term immunity. So before I read the answer, there are two things I have to understand, which are, or they are very, very obvious for me, which are what? That W is antigen. Why? Because each pathogen has its specific antigens. What are antigens? The marking which are on the cell membrane of a pathogen or any cell, giving a long-term immunity. Very easy also to identify, which is memory cell. So W must be antigen and memory cell must be Z. So which one? W and Z. So my answer is D before I look at the end. So let's make sure. Antibodies, which is X, destroys the pathogen directly. Yes. Phagocyte, which is Y, marking of pathogen occurs so they can be destroyed by Y, which continue by the phagocyte. Thank you. Next, 17. Cholera is a disease caused by bacterium called Vibrio cholera, which produces a toxin in the infected person's gut. What's the effect of this toxin? Cholera part is very important, always comes in the exam. Okay, so the toxin causes loss of water from the gut into the blood. The toxin causes loss of water from the gallbladder into the blood. The toxin causes water to enter the gut from the blood. The toxin causes water to enter the gallbladder from the blood. So I have to related answers, which are what? Number B, which is the gallbladder, and number D, which is the gallbladder. So my answer may be A or maybe C. So what makes the difference for me? Remember, the water leaves from where to where? From the intestinal cells into the lumen of the gut. So what's my answer? C. Toxin causes water to enter the gut from the blood, which comes from the intestinal cells. Okay? 18. The graph shows the volume of the air in the lungs change when a person is breathing at rest. Which processes are occurring? Which process is occurring to change the volume of at the point marked X? So the volume of air into the lung increases, this means inhalation. The volume of air decreases, this means exhalation. I have to know, mister, all the related procedures that happens during this. Okay, in this question one more time. The question says what? The graph shows how the volume of air in lungs exchange when a person is breathing at rest. So we said this point is inhalation, this point is exhalation, because the volume here is increased, here the volume is decreased. So this line representing exhalation process, and I have to know what's happening during inhalation and in exhalation. Let's go for 3 important points. What happens for the diaphragm? What happens to the external intercostal muscles? What happens to the internal intercostal muscles? Okay, so let's continue this. During inhalation, during exhalation. Diaphragm during inhalation, what happens to it? It contracts, moves down, while external intercostal muscle also contract, while internal intercostal muscle also relax. For exhalation, diaphragm relaxes, goes up, the external intercostal muscle relax, and the internal intercostal muscle contract. Very important to know. Okay, so let's answer this question together. So we said at X is exhalation. So at exhalation, the diaphragm is relaxing, external intercostal muscle also are relaxing. So answer is A. The processes listed occur in living organisms, which is cell division, diffusion, muscle contraction, and osmosis. Which processes require energy from respiration? Cell division, yes. Diffusion, no, it's passive. Osmosis, no, it's passive. So the answer will be anything with 2 and 4 will be cancelled. So A is cancelled, D is cancelled. So it's B or C. What do you think? Yes, it's B. 1 and 3 only. 20. What is the role of the glomerulus? It's a part of the nephron or kidney tubules where filtration occurs. It's not assembling. Reabsorption, does it happen in the glomerulus part? No. Removal of the nitrogen containing part, deamination, also no. So what is the answer? It's B. Filtration of water, glucose, urea, and ions from the blood. In this part I have to know what's going in and what does not go. For example, protein, but take care, amino acid pass. 21. Diagram shows a synapse. So neuron 1 is the presynaptic, neuron 2 is the postsynaptic. And take care, the presynaptic is always what? An axon. And the postsynaptic is always what? A dendrite. Because an axon sends the message while the dendrite receives the message. P is synaptic vesicle, which contains neurotransmitters. As you can see here, neurotransmitter. S, neurotransmitter receptor. So which parts are labeled correctly? So P is and R is synaptic gap. So what's your answer? What could be? Yes, it's C. P is synaptic vesicle, Q is the neurotransmitter, R is synaptic gap, and S is the neurotransmitter receptor. Next, 22. Which row shows the function of rod cells? Rod cells are used for dim light, while the cones are for cones for colored light. Okay, so is it for night vision? Of course. So it's A or B. C and D are wrong. Color vision, does it see the color? What do you think? No, cones the ones which you see, so the answer is B. Diagram shows the position of two endocrine glands, the adrenal glands, as you can see above the kidneys. What is the response of the body to the hormone released from these glands? The hormone is adrenaline. What does it do? It increases heartbeats, increase blood glucose level, increase blood pressure, and pupil dilate. So heartbeats increase, blood pressure increase, glucose level increase, and pupil dilate. BP, GP. Always remember this. So a decrease in the heart rate, wrong. A decrease in glucose level, wrong. Increase in pupil diameter, yes. Development of secondary sexual characteristics, so the answer is C. Next, 24. What is the response of the human body overheating, which is thermoregulation? You have to remember this. In a thermoregulation for overheating, vasodilation of arterioles, type vasoconstriction for overheating or cold temperature. Okay, so 24 is C. What is an example for phototropes? Take care from this table, very important to know. So you write here stem or shoot, you write here the root. This is phototropism and this is gravity tropism. A stem shows positive phototropism and negative gravity tropism. A root shows negative phototropism and positive gravity tropism. So what's the answer using this table? 25 is B. The growth of a shoot towards light shows a positive phototropism. Next, because here he mentioned phototropism, take care from this. A is not working because he said phototropism. Question 26. Which statement describes the effect of antibiotics? Antibiotics do not affect bacteria or virus, so A is wrong. Antibiotics kill bacteria but don't affect virus. Yes, we can consider this. Antibiotics kill both bacteria and virus. Wrong, they do not affect virus. Antibiotics kill virus but don't affect bacteria. So my answer is B. Diagram shows a parent of hydra growing and releasing an offspring from the side of its body. This is a type of asexual reproduction. So in asexual reproduction, parents and offsprings are genetically identical. Yes, so my answer is A or B. C and D are wrong. Involves asexual reproduction. Yes, so my answer is question 20. The diagram shows the changing of concentration of some hormones involved in the menstrual cycle. Very important to know the hormones. Let's start by the first hormone which is released, which is which one? Yes, FSH. FSH is this hormone. Increased, then decreased, has only one peak. Then, this switch hormone, the one which increased only on the 14th day, has the highest peak. This is LH. Then, this hormone, which is this one, the one which increased, let me change the color. The one which has two peaks, one before the 14th and one after the 14th. This is estrogen. Then we have this one, the one which has a peak after the 14th day and will increase or continue increasing after what? After pregnancy, which is this hormone, which is progesterone. Okay, so what's W? What is Y? W is LH and Y is estrogen, so my answer is B. Let's continue. The diagram shows the chromosome in the nucleus of a cell that divides by mitosis. So mitosis results cells identical in the number of genes and chromosomes. Take care from this, in the number of chromosomes. Okay, so here let's count the chromosome: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So resulted cells should have the same number of chromosomes, which are here 1, 2, 3, 4 haploid, 1, 2, 3, 4 haploid. So A and B are wrong, so it's C or D. Let's count the number of chromosomes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, so my answer is C. طب why not D? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are 7, so it's wrong. So 29 C. 30. A farmer bred together male cattle with white hair and female cattle with red hair. So white is crossed with red. All offspring had a roan hair. It's roan, which is a codominance. He then repeatedly bred together 2 roan cattle, and the offspring were in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. What explains why the farmer obtained this ratio? In a codominance, this is my answer, 30B. The roan type is an example for codominance. Phagocytes and neurons are 2 types of specialized cells. Which statements are correct? Phagocytes and neurons express the same genes. All of the cells have the same genes, but not all the cells express them. So 31, 1 is wrong. So any answer with 1 will not be considered. So A and B are wrong. Both types of the cell have the same genes, yes, but not expressed. Both types of the cell only express the gene that make the protein needed, yes. So my answer is 2 and 3. Table shows some feature of leaves. Which leaf is adapted to survive in hot and dry habitat? The number of stomata should be many or few. Thickness of the cuticle should be thick or thin. Surface area of the leaf should be small or large. Let's go for this. Number of stomata should be few to reduce water loss. Thickness of the cuticle should be thick also to reduce water loss. And the surface area should be small. So answer is C. 33. Which row correctly describes the type of selection? Artificial and natural. Artificial, humans are of course involved. Natural, human are not involved. So we can go for B or D. So A and C are totally wrong. Let's go for B and D. B says what? Artificial selection, humans are involved, as the production of bacteria that are resistant. Do we do this to produce resistant bacteria? Of course not. So the answer is D, where it's production of wild animals with long neck to reach tree leaves as food source, as what happened in giraffe. 34. Which statement about the pyramid of energy for a food chain is correct? A pyramid of energy shows the energy stored at each trophic level. Doesn't show the energy lost. It shows the input of energy from the principal source. Doesn't show the energy. And it shows the total energy stored, of course not. 35. The food web shows part of an ocean ecosystem. Okay, which row shows the number of secondary consumer and the number of tertiary consumer? To answer this question, you have to know what do they eat. A secondary consumer eats who? Eats the herbivorous organisms, which are the first consumer. So any organism that eats a herbivorous organism, which is the first consumer, we can count it. So these are the producers. These are the first consumers, which are herbivores. So each organism which eats one of these, we can count it as a secondary consumer. So this is the first one. 1, 2, 3. And take care from this line. 4. So it's 4. So it's B or D. طب how many tertiary are there? Tertiary consumer is the one who eats secondary consumer, which are carnivores. So how many are eating these ones? It's only the orca, so the answer is B. Next, a student investigated the effect of high temperature on the production of nitrate ions in the soil. Nitrate ions are produced by nitrification process, okay, by nitrifying bacteria. You have to understand this 2 points. Okay, let's go for this. 2 samples of soil were taken. One sample has been heated to 100, so it killed the bacteria. All nitrate ions were completely removed from both soils before they do the experiment. Ammonium ions were then added. Why ammonium? Because they are going to change the nitrifying bacteria, the ammonium, into nitrate. After 2 weeks, both samples were tested for the nitrate ions present, and the results are shown. The soil which is not heated to 100 Celsius, nitrate ions were there. Why? Because bacteria was there, they did nitrifying, changing the ammonium into nitrate. The one which heated, the nitrate ions were absent because the bacteria died. So what is the correct answer for this? For 36. Let's go for this. Heating the soil broke the nitrate ions? No. There were any nitrate ions in the soil. Heating the soil increased the activity of denitrifying bacteria? We don't need denitrifying in this process. Heating the soil killed the nitrifying bacteria? Yes. My answer is C. Heating the soil killed nitrogen-fixing bacteria also has no relation with this. Which letter represents lag phase? A direct question. A. Lag, log, exponential, and death phase. Which term describes the number of different species living in an area? Also direct question. It's A. Biodiversity. Which source of pollution can cause eutrophication? Carbon dioxide, methane, non-biodegradable plastics, sewage. Sewage. Why? Sewage has nutrients which can cause algal bloom to increase, and then decomposers, and then all the steps of eutrophication. 40. Some of the processes involved in the production of insulin by genetic modification are listed. Cutting of the bacterial plasmid DNA with restriction enzymes, expression in bacteria of the human gene to make insulin, insertion of recombinant plasmid into bacteria, multiplication of bacteria containing the recombinant plasmid. How to order them? Answer is A. First we cut, then we insert, then we multiply them, then the bacteria will express them, giving me the insulin needed.